Weather's still looking kind of miserable. Wet, dreary. Great day to talk about biking. So what do you say? Let's call someone up and talk about biking. The guy I have in mind, Daniel Ross, also known as the Cabot Trail Biker. Cabot Trail is Nova Scotia's big motorcycle playground. Last year when I went on it, I wasn't even paying enough attention to really video anything. So I'll do that again this year. Actually try to get you some video this time. It was a lot of fun. Totally worth it. You should try it. Check it out. Anyway, here's a short interview with Daniel Ross, Cabot Trail Biker. Hey, before I get too far in the video, if it's the first time on my channel, down there, subscribe, like, hit those buttons, share too. Well, you might want to see it before you share it, but it's a cool video, trust me. Share it, subscribe, thanks. Talk about why you developed the Cabot Trail Biker, the website, and why you tried to develop that persona.
All right, cool. I was in 2008, I got a Harley Davidson motorcycle, cruiser motorcycle. It's my first cruiser I ever got. And after my career days of dirt bikes and race bikes and all that stuff, had kids, and then got back into biking. And I went around, I did all my riding around, whatever, and then got to go on a trip around the Cabot Trail for the first time. And it was really unbelievable to spend that much time on a motorcycle doing just really good motorcycling. I don't know, there wasn't any, once you got there, you could do a full day of riding on just intensely good roads with always beautiful scenery. I think it was so intense and so overwhelming. I was thinking, why isn't there something kind of putting all this stuff together to show the world about this place?
So you started doing the Cape Breton tourism job for them.
Yeah. And I kind of did, I guess, but I knew a lot of the answers that someone from a tourism board wouldn't know. Yeah. Unless they had a motorcycle. But there's a lot of weird things that are unique to motorcyclists that aren't the same as other tourists. Like motorcyclists want to know about, is there a lot of gas stations? We always seem to be a little more nervous about that. Is there places to sleep? Because sometimes you might want to cut your day short or go a little bit further if it's nice weather or bad weather, and all these types of things, and just questions that were unique to motorcyclists. Another thing too, I find mostly in a lot of riders, even there's new riders and there's solo riders that feel they want to be safe. So they just want to know if do people like motorcyclists? I don't think anyone feels like they're going to get kicked off their motorcycle, but generally, if it's an area that really is motorcycle friendly, they're welcome you and they treat you like a normal person. You don't have to feel nervous about your bike being outside your motel room.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the I think first time I went around in 2010. I think it was around 2010. I think your site had just sort of was fairly new.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of it playing by ear and just asking other motorcyclists who I met on the trail, hey, can you recommend for me?
Yeah.
So like I was at the hotel and the hotel I was at on the first night, people had come the other way. And I said, where did you stay last night? They said, oh, Bedeck. And I said, can you recommend a hotel? And they said, well, there's a couple there that we don't mind. They recommended one of them. One of them was like the Silver Dart Inn. And me being Air Force, I was like, okay, so
yeah.
The Cabot Trail Motel is where myself and some buddies stayed.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what was really funny is we only had 2 rooms, but they put us in a section that was just all bikes.
Yeah.
So it's just, so of course we're sitting out on the deck having a beer and everyone else is just chatting about the riding.
That's right. I like that place. Yeah. And when you're mentioning about talking to people, that's better advice than I can ever give someone on the site. Just the people that you meet on the trail, even if they're their first time around, it's like, oh my God, did you try this? Did you see that? Whatever people are excited about, they're always right. Just go with the thing, and just, that's what builds a great trip. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is the people you meet on it. So of course, I you know, the funny story from last year was the Miss Kitty backpack. And so we're at the top of Cape Smoky, and another couple couples show up out of Ontario. And of course, they're just howling with laughter about me wearing the Miss Kitty backpack. And started talking to the guy. Turns out I actually may have sailed with him on the West Coast Navy in 1997.
That's hilarious.
Wouldn't have talked to him if it wasn't for riding in Miss Kitty.
There you have it.
And then, of course, as the day went, we just kept hopscotching each other where we were stopping, and we all ended up at Coastal Waters for lunch, and just you know. So of course, you're waving and chatting with people all day long. And just outside Shedda Camp, they were like, we were poking fun at him, and one guy mentioned what his buddy did, and I'm like, oh, if you're riding with us, that would have been a Miss Kitty offense. And they're like, okay, he's got to get a picture with the backpack.
Yeah, exactly.
So and then even like when you posted the photo of it, people were commenting like, I saw that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So like so that's the great thing about riding the Cabot Trail is it's a unique experience that everyone can share. So do you have a favorite section? Because I've following your social media, like your Instagram and stuff like that, you don't seem to favor one area at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Like Cape Smoky, that climb is my favorite by far motorcycle experience. But I'm saying that and that's being rebuilt this year. So Cape Smoky's going to change. And then Mackenzie Mountain got widened and repaved. It is so well paved. I'm not just even if you're any kind of driving enthusiast, should check out the job they did on Mackenzie Mountain. It is sweeping, it is large, and the pull-offs they made because it's really scenic. So before, when you had to pull off for a picture, you had to slow down on the road, pull off onto the seat, take your picture. Now they have it so they're longer, a little bit longer and wider, and the shoulders are wider. So if someone slows down to take a picture, they're slowing down on the actual correct spot instead of being on the road. So you can drive it a lot more smoother than in the past. I could guarantee myself an uninterrupted drive up Cape Smoky, but I could not do the same on Mackenzie because people could stop on the way up. And now it's less interrupted. It's beautiful, and they banked the turns so that you can go. Like I used to scrape all the way up that. Now you can go, and it's awesome. It's just well bermed. It's fun. So Mackenzie Mountain's starting to get closer to my heart. There's a place off the Cabot Trail, from Waikagam to Mabu. There's a road called the 252, and through Brook Village. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not popular with tourists as much because it's not on the ocean. But it is fantastic riding and zero traffic ever.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, no. So those are three little favorites, and then even just driving the Cabot Trail between Shedda Camp and Ingonish. Usually, I don't stop once when I go between those two. I kind of it's my time. I like driving that one alone. So I don't drive there alone very often. So it's always pretty special, but. I like that time. I think a local would tell you the same thing. It's a lot, I don't know. There's no towns in between. There's no speed zones almost. It's always whatever the normal speed limit is.
Enjoy the ride.
Just enjoy the ride for a long time. It's cool. I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Get me excited.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, that's the whole point, right?
Bike ride in yet this year?
I've got one. That's it.
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah, but you mentioned construction. I think you posted on one of the social medias about where they're changing that corner at the bottom of Cape Smoky. You think that's going to take? It's only going to take a couple corners out, really. I think.
Yeah, it's taken out the bottom hairpin, and a lot of bikers hear hairpin, they go, "Oh, that's awesome! I really like the hairpin," but the hairpin was absolutely terrible. It had a large. I don't know what heaved it or whatever. It's going over a little brook, and the bridge is probably not good, whatever. But there was a heave in it. I know my bike can't handle that stuff. I don't know what kind could really, but and it was so sharp, the turn, And it was really bad if you had riding buddies and you had someone that took that slower in front of you. If you were going quicker and were still in second gear, for example, and then, you just use brakes instead of gearing down and you had no power at the bottom, I had a lot of tip overs happen there. I like whenever someone says their bike tipped over in Cape Smoky, I know it's on the bottom hairpin in the wrong gear or hitting neutral by accident, because you need power to get up that first little thing. So I don't think anyone had a good riding experience around that first hairpin. So the other thing is that some transport trucks cannot make that turn. So I know for sure my father-in-law moves mini homes, and if he had to deliver one to Ingonish, he'd have to go the long way around to avoid. So what they're doing is, instead of going all the way to the hairpin, you're going to go back about, you're going to go back about 150 to 200 yards, and you're going to start going uphill on this side of the river before you cross that little brook or whatever. So you're going to start going uphill, and that elevation that you gain is going to make it so that the road's actually going to get shorter. So you're going to, instead of going all the way into the hairpin, you're going to go over like that. You're going to miss the whole bottom that you do of the Cape Smoky. That's going to be gone, and you'll just be on a bridge. What I do know that's going to be problematic, and this is where I think my website and my communication to people that are planning on traveling here is important, is just to ask people for patience. And they're going to need twice the patience on this one because of stopping traffic. So every time they stop a traffic and you have an operator moving rock and stuff like that, and you have one-way traffic going by, that's a cause concern for construction. So they are asking for 10 minutes of downtime, no traffic. So for 10 minutes, traffic isn't going either way. So that's going to mean that if you come up to the stop, your shortest wait time will be 10 minutes and your longest will be 20. Do you see the way that works?
Yeah, but it actually, in reality, if they start the other lane first, it's going to take longer than 10 minutes for everybody to come through. And if you're not first in line, you're like, then that's the patience is, it's a 10-minute stop. Could cost you 40.
Yeah. So it's going to be one of those. So but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much traffic's going to be there this year either,
yeah.
But maybe it's the best year ever for this. Yeah. But it's a big one. And I think the biggest thing is that you have to realize what they are working with. The Cabot Trail is probably the worst road to maintain on the planet for conditions. It's windy, it's blizzards and snow. That's what's carved this coast to be so pretty to ride a motorcycle around. So if it wasn't this hard to work on, one of the stops I was on once, I looked up and there was a driller, like an excavator driller, being suspended by a crane, chipping away, trying to make the shoulder wider 200 feet down below, but they had to take the top of the mountain off first.
Yep. No, I'm from BC, so I know all about what the work it takes for rock scaling. Yep. No.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a nasty one, but Rob, it's the last one. It's the last. They did Mackenzie Mountain. They did the whole rebuild of North Mountain. They did French Mountain, and then this is even out of the park, Cape Smoky. But it's the last big project. It's the last big one. So
it'll be all ready for a big 2021 relaunch.
Oh my God, yes. I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah.
Moving on to the next thing I want to talk about is your merch. So I'm going to tell a bit of a story about your shirt.
Hey.
So I bought two when I went through in 2010 because I'm military, knew I was moving around. So kept one nicely wrapped and left it wrapped, and then off I went gallivanting the rest of the world. Moved west for 6 years in 2012. Okay. And so when the first one kind of got wore out, I was like, ooh, trying to protect that second one. And so it was like, it became almost like, I don't want to say a special occasion shirt, but it was like, I'm not going to wear it today. Just, I didn't want to wear it out. So it wasn't until I got back here fall 2018 that I knew I'd be going around in 2019 again. I was like, okay, I can wear this shirt again. Same spot. I was, here it was 9 years later from when I bought the first shirts, same place, still same board on the wall.
Yeah.
And I think it was still the same price too. Talk a bit more about, because I know you've got the beer, the vendors that sort of talk about your stuff that you help drive traffic to. Because you also have the patches, sunglasses, and so talk about your merch and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, you're like a typical awesome customer guy. You kind of look on the website and kind of see that I'm doing all this to help people out, and in return, throw me a little something. And for you to buy 2 t-shirts, that's very generous. But that's kind of what I did. I since I was 16, I've been making t-shirts, because even when I told you that first time I drove around the trail, I'm like, oh, there's no dealerships on the trail, right? So you can't buy a Cabot Trail t-shirt. Actually there is, if you go to Cabot Power Sports, they do have merch now, but at the time they didn't, or that I didn't know of. And so still I am the only biker shirt really that you get on the trail at the time. But since I started doing this, everyone was asking for them, so there's a lot of t-shirts now. But anyways, that's besides the point. But I have patches. Actually, look at this. I just got a new shipment today. That's a lot of patches.
Yeah, it is.
That was a pre-COVID order. I've got lapel pins with the long stems for leathers. I've got decals, the weatherproof decals. Caps. I got new caps coming this year. And t-shirts. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I have some special edition things for my tour guests sometimes and whatnot. That's about it. And oh yeah, of course, the beer. And that's another one I met you on. So you kind of had the whole Cabot Trail Biker experience.
I know. That's the best part.
Yeah, so that's the merch. Was that did you ask me about my beer, or is that for later?
Oh, probably drinking beer later, but no, it's I think it's pretty cool that especially on your social media, keg delivery and empty delivery by motorcycle. It's just the classic Canadiana. That's like you do what you need to do, and it's like the motorcycle. You do what you got to do, and if you want to get a ride in, that's what you're gonna do.
That's right.
Like, I'm sorry, but like 5 kegs strapped to your bike is just funny to see.
It is awesome. Yeah. It looks hairier, but 2 full ones affects performance a little bit more.
Yeah, well, that's weight, right? It's all about center of gravity. You put it at the back like that, and it's,
yeah.
So you mentioned your guided tours, and one of the things I want to sort of lead into now is I think one of your biggest marketing thing that you do is how you push this to the U.S. market, and with how you take some of the proceeds of your merch and it goes to a U.S. charity,
well, it's the Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder, okay.
Yeah. So 9/11 is the date of it, and I called it the 9/11 ride, and then realized about the 911 rides for first responders everywhere. So 9/11 means September 11th. So every September 11th, it was a big deal when I came up with the idea. What it was, I wanted people to buy my shirt, but I wanted it to mean something. So if you went there, like for example, if I have a 16-year-old boy, he's into brands, it's got to be a certain brand or he won't wear it. And I wanted to make my shirt the one you had to get, because it's the one that represented something meaningful. So I needed a charity, and like you said about the American market, I wanted a charity that Americans liked and respected, because if you're from Truro or Yarmouth or Halifax or Moncton, you're not Googling Cabot Trail and trying to answer questions about currency and does my cell phone work there. It's people from farther away. Same with me. I'm not going to Google how to travel to certain places that are close. I'm going to really research and get to know people that could help me. If I'm going to the Tail of the Dragon, for example, I might look into things to see what time of day I should ride it and all these questions. So I wanted to, and I could also tell because the farther away people were, that's who was contacting me. So I looked up different American charities and said, I want to associate this with my biker website. And to tell you the truth, I got pushed back by them all, including Rolling Thunder, because they didn't want to associate their cause with someone making profit. So then in the end, the more I researched, the more I liked Rolling Thunder. And Rolling Thunder, they care about two main things. This is me saying it, not them. But basically, they care about missing in action prisoners of war. So getting people back, their remains back, and settling years of mystery for these families. They care so deeply about that. So that's one of their biggest things. And then the second thing is taking care of veterans from all wars. And that's buddies of yours, Rob, just as much as it's from, like there's Vietnam, there's Afghanistan, there's people coming back from a tour of duty in the Middle East, and they got split up while they were gone and they don't have a place to stay, and they're helping them out. They built stairs in someone's home so they could still live there or they have a ramp now.
Yep.
And the thing was, it suited me because I'm small. My project's really small. So if I donate $5,000 to a multi-million-dollar charity, there's no impact. And I go and I donate to Rolling Thunder, and the president and the entire organization's there taking the money from us, telling us stories of the people they helped that year. It's personal. It means something. And to tell you the truth, I didn't even know. I wasn't aiming for that. I wasn't trying to find it. I was just doing things, just thinking it would be, I wanted it to be something special, but I never expected this. And to go 10 years and from a little place in Cape Breton, I forget what the tally is now. I think we're over $18,000 raised for American veterans. And I know it means it's pretty neat that's coming. A lot of the money is raised in the States, but the way the idea comes from here, and it's always very symbolic. I leave here and people join me all the way down, and I charge people $50 a bike, and a lot of people, and you pay it if you want. And then some people just pay a lot more. And then companies started hearing I was doing it, and then they'd call and they'd be like, "You're not paying for your lunch. You're not paying for your supper. Anyone that's donating." And anyways, it just became a really cool weekend. Doesn't cost very much and raises a lot of money. So it's a highlight of my year. It's a lifelong commitment. I've promised to do this every year until every year, God willing, till I die.
Yeah. Well, I'm, borders willing, I'm hoping to go with you this year.
Right. And, oh my, I hope so.
Yeah. And so, that's the biggest thing that's going on right now is the impact on tourism. Like the Americans might not be able to come this year. So that's going to hurt a lot of trail businesses. Have you been talking to any that think they might not open, or is everyone still getting ready, or, what's any idea what the feeling is?
One thing I do know about the Cabot Trail businesses a lot of them are 100% of them are used to almost closing down and then ramping back up. 100% of them. There's nobody on the Cabot Trail that has the same amount of volume of business every month of the year. Okay. So there's some people that might be really busy with snowmobiles. Fair enough. Right. But it's a different kind of thing. They're used to change and dynamic, start of this, end of that. They all are. And so this is not going to be a real challenge for them, that if things open, that they can get things going. I think that'll be fairly easy for them. What's going to be tough is just the loss of business. And I feel that a lot of people they're going to lose seeing visitors for certain. And they're going to get a slight increase by a lot of local people feeling like they want to support local. And I feel it already. I'm a local business owner here. You're going to see more locals going and eating out and replacing some of the tourism, but they can't do it all.
No.
Simply because we are so few people in Nova Scotia, so very few on the Cabot Trail. So I think it's going to be a tough year if the border doesn't open, and if things stay shut down, it's going to be really hard on them. But you know what? This whole COVID thing's been hard on everybody, and I don't think anyone's escaping it. There's certainly no economy on the globe that escaped this.
Yeah, no, that's a fair call. And I think it'll be videos like this that we'll put on YouTube. That'll be how we start promoting the Ride the Cabot Trail, and potentially look at promoting it locally to make sure that more people know that, hey, Cabot Trail is going to, you're going to need a place to ride. You can't go anywhere else. Go to the Cabot Trail.
Yeah. And Rob, I got to say that too. I was talking to a friend the other day. People think a bike trip is packing up, going for 5 or 6 days with suitcases or sleeping bags and tents and stuff. If you stay overnight for one night and so you drive away from your home on your bike, stay at a hotel and drive away again and come back to the same hotel and go home, you can ride so far and have so much fun on 2 nights. And if you like, when you live in Fredericton or Rivière-du-Loup or St. John's, Newfoundland, you're really close to the Cabot Trail. And you don't think you are, but you just are. And if you're from any of this ring of one day to get, like, for example, if you can, if you can leave home in the morning and have a good long day and make it farther than Moncton, then you can have a Cabot Trail trip with 2 night stays. You can. And every night, well, it's the whole challenge of my website and all the questions I get is trying to jam pack too much into a short time. But man, if you're close to here and you haven't ridden the Cabot Trail, oh my God, you gotta try.
Well, that's just it. Like, you start, it's actually not that expensive to do.
No.
Like when me and my buddies did it last year, out of Halifax on a Friday, Bedeck for 2 nights, and then home on Sunday. It was actually a leisurely ride with lots of stops, lots of breaks. Oh, look, a brewery,
Totally.
Yeah. And so you got to explore and stop and smell the roses, which is a great part of motorcycle tourism.
Yeah, exactly. So, I agree with you, the YouTube video and getting people talking and whatnot. I have gotten very few phone calls and emails this year about the Cabot Trail, honestly. So I thought I'd get a lot because of people being in, but there always drop a line or even send you a line. Anyone that has experience being here, like you staying in Bedeck twice, that's a real good point of advice, is to stay in the same place twice when you're on bikes. You can leave your trailer there.
Don't have to leave all your luggage behind, empty saddlebags.
Yeah. You open up your saddlebag and there's like 2 bottles of water in it, and that's it. It's like, wow, I love this type of stuff. Normally, I'm just like, where's this? There's, talk about the trips. People are very welcome to call and plan for their trip whenever it does happen. If it's not this year because of restrictions, but hopefully they're lifted.
Yeah, because that's going to impact you, because I noticed you revamped your website recently, and you now talk a bit more about your guided tours. And that's because you had one going in June, didn't you? Yeah,
I still technically do. I just told all my guests that we're going to do this, and we're going to catch some lobsters, and we're either going to do it this year, or if you're not allowed to come, it'll be next year. Because if Americans aren't allowed on the tour this year, the only people left will be my service truck guy and my wife. So it'll be a pretty small group.
Yeah.
All Americans coming with me.
Oh, well. Yeah. But the thing is, that's we want to do the promotions and get people up there, because that's what it's worth. So I'll make sure that in the video description, I'll have all your social media links, website link, all those will be added in the description. Any final words or things you want to say?
Geez, we covered. I didn't really describe the beer much.
Well, that's because it's beer. People need to go try it. It's just worth trying.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll leave that curious. Okay. I guess not. No, try. I'd encourage them, maybe in words, to take a look at the new website. and browse around, tell me what's wrong on it so I can fix it. No, I guess that's it.
Cool. That means we covered everything. So this my little cheat
You
sheet
did
works.
everything right. I told you that. I was like, wow, you laid this out awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Right
Well,
on.
thanks for having the chat for me, and
yeah. Another thing too, I should tell you, Rob, and you're a perfect example of this, is that I'll meet up, say, 10 bikers, just like I met up with your buddies, right? One guy does the research, and the entire rest of the group love the fact that they do no research, they just follow Rob. That's true, right?
yep, totally.
So if you get in touch with 100 motorcyclists, you are actually affecting the lives of 1,000 motorcyclists, because the people that you're talking to will
Tell 10 friends and plan the trip for them.
Right. Yeah.
Because that guy said, hey, this is what he did and it worked out great. Let's do that.